Hello, class. In today's reading about human aggression, two things stood out the most. One of them was the culture of honor. Very interesting to read about how um, cultures developed around agriculture are less prone to aggression or aggressiveness than cultures based around uh, basically cattle, herding animals. Because the first one, agriculture, creates the possibility of creating systems of trusting and helping and planning um, against a crisis. While with cattle is a single something that happens and you can lose everything. So yeah, you needed to react more aggressively, more assertively. And it got my attention because the exact same phenomenon happened in Costa Rica. And let me tell you, this is something that made news a few years ago. It was a headline, and an older rancher from, let's say, a region outside of the city who shot a young, stupid guy who was taunting him. But the drop, the spill, the glass, I don't know if that's something you say in English, was that he took his hat off, and that prompted him to shoot him, to defend his honor. But this is interesting because he was not prosecuted because the judge deemed that it was that shooting the guy that took his hat was somehow acceptable due to the cultural reasons. So this is something that happened. This is something real. This is a way where violence was justified. The second thing that took my attention was media's participation in violence. And this has been a debate, a long debate over the last at least 2 decades. Um, I remember that in the 80s and early 90s, seeing these slasher movies where the violent part was the climax of the movie, and the rest of the movie was just a plot device to reach to that gruesome act of violence. And this was a big thing, it was all over the place. And after that, I remember um, seeing a lot of anime where it was all about fighting and good versus bad and all of this choreographed, but the violence was toned down. And in my personal perspective, this toning down of violence, showing or glorifying parts of it, but hiding the parts that you may not feel good watching. Like in action movies, the hero shoots 7 people, they just drop dead, and not a single drop of blood is shown. So I can imagine a kid seeing this and say, "Oh, it looks so cool when the hero shoots the bad guys, and the bad guys just cease to exist." I remember that in week 5, I talked a little bit about violence in a response to Dick's discussion post. And I talk a little about Top Gun Maverick, a movie that came out this year. And it stood out for me because in this movie, which clearly uh, was meant to take place in Russia, where Tom Cruise, the American hero that flies these really cool technological jets, has to go to an unspecified place because they don't say to stop a nuclear threat, and then he starts, just wiping uh, people that aren't really people because they don't even show their faces. They're all wearing helmets. So it's just the enemy. And I think this is something that is ingrained or that has been absorbed a little bit by American culture and the people who do politics. Like, who is the good guys? Who is the bad guys? And again, they show all these cool gadgets and all the explosions and everything, but not the part that relates to the human inside. So it's very dehumanizing. And I think this is the part that desensitizes people to violence. And in this case, with an ulterior motive, according to me, which is to maybe change the perspective of American people towards American troops deployment in Ukraine, or the possibility of their deployment. And I think many movies in the past have served these purposes, some more blatantly than others. So there you go. These are the two things that caught my attention in this discussion. I can't wait to see yours. Bye.